Blessings, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Dane, your host. Hope you're doing well wherever you may find yourselves. Today is another episode in my series, Faceoff Friday. Sorry, it's been a long time since I've done one, and the reason for that is because in taking care of the cat, I just let that one, he's over here, just let that particular episode, or series rather, slip by the wayside. So it's back, and today's episode is picking up where I left off in the sense that I'm going with the same two solo artists. The last video I did in the series was facing off Ozzy versus Dio with respect to their debut. Now I'm going to face them off against their sophomore efforts respectively. So we have Diary of a Madman versus The Last in Line. I'm going to start with Dio first and then do Ozzy second. I'm going to, like most of the time that I would do this, is by the numbers and show you how I rate each song and then tally them up and divide by the number of songs to get a grade, and that grade equals a certain classification like masterpiece, legendary, excellent, poor, subpar, or whatever it's called. I have a chart that I go to in my binder. I just can't talk sometimes, right? That happens to all of us. But as you've seen before, if you watch these episodes, while I may do them by the numbers most of the time, sometimes my gut trumps by the numbers. Let's see if that works today. That's kind of the fun of this video. Will I go with my gut or not, or will I go by the numbers? So let's go ahead and get started. So we have The Last in Line, again, track by track. Of course, it starts off with the hard-rocking or hard-hitting rock song, We Rock. It's an anthem, and I'm not the biggest fan of anthems, but I do like this one. Makes you raise your fist, pump up your fist kind of thing. To quote Alice Cooper, raise your fist and yell. It's a great song, though the lyrics are a bit repetitious, and it's to be expected when you have an anthem. I give this a 10 out of 10. That's how much I like this song. It is a go-to song. I would dare say it's a must if you're going to put this on. Next is Last in Line, the title track. Great lyrics about Judgment Day. Remember the video? How cool that was, right? I think it's a compelling song because of the lyrics, what it's about, and because the music itself is compelling. The music goes hand in hand with the lyrics and the lesson to be learned from this. There's a great solo here, too, from Vivian Campbell, and it's long, too. It's wonderful, and I think it may foreshadow the song overall. I think, not the guitar solo, but the intro to the song, the acoustic opening, may be in part have inspired, I can't prove it, but it seems to have inspired or foreshadowed the acoustic openings to both Fight Fire with Fire and Battery on those respective Metallica albums, which were the first songs on those respective Metallica albums. So who knows, that light and shade component that goes all the way back to the early 70s with Zeppelin and Purple and that kind of thing, Uriah Heep. So anyway, Last in Line, 10 out of 10. Next is Breathless, a bit of a falling off from the first two songs. You have great vocal, you have great vocals, you have a great vocal pace from Dio and phrasing from Dio. The guitar is great here, but yet the question remains, why am I not loving the song? Something's missing. Perhaps it's the subject matter. You Leave Me Breathless, not the best Dio-inspired vocals, lyrics, excuse me. And he mentioned, like he does so many times, going all the way back to Black Sabbath and especially Rainbow. Someone's got to document this. Maybe it'll be me. How many times does Dio use the word rainbow or rainbows in his entire discography? But he says it here. He mentions it again. So 7.5 out of 10 for me with Breathless. Let me check on the cat for a minute. Sweetie, you all right? Okay. All right. All right, number 4 is I Speed at Night. Subject matter's kind of hokey for Dio, I think. Not a bad song, but not great either. It's kind of a middle-of-the-road rocker, if you ask me. The guitar and drum and bass intro is sweet, though. I do like the way the song kicks off. And the guitar solo is dynamite, too. But still, having said that, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Then you get One Night in the City. 9 out of 10 for me. It's a slower tune, but I think it's underrated, and I think it's fabulous and compelling. It's one of those goosebump type songs. This is a song I think of what we expect Dio to do with respect to lyrics, songwriting, the tone and vibe, and general feel, the vocal phrasing, the cadence of his said vocals, right? Not everything has to be fast and furious and moving at the break, the speed of light sort of thing. As I said, a slower tune, but it works. So I give this a 9 out of 10. I just think it's just a compelling song. It's just the way that Dio sings is just so moving. Next is, part of the lyrics are, dreams lay where they fell. And there's the other component. The whole lyrics, all of the lyrics, are compelling. Next is Evil Eyes, number 6. Has a very hair metal-like intro, if you ask me. If it weren't for Dio's voice, this would be a hair metal song with respect to the music. Excuse me. Mention of rainbow or rainbows again. In the lyrics you have, ever think about how I caught the rainbow? Dio belts. So think of that. The guitar solo is top-notch. Vivian is amazing on this album. I think he doesn't get enough credit. He gets buku credit for the debut, and I love the debut. It's my favorite of all the things in Dio's discography, in the Dio band, that is. But I think Vivian is a little bit forgotten on this album, but that's just my perception. Anyway, the song originally I didn't care for when it first came out, but over years it's grown on me. I give it a 9 out of 10. I imagine because of, this, Dio explains that you do this to ward off it's a superstitious thing you did in the Middle Ages that carried over into the 20th century and beyond, with gypsies and stuff, with doing this to ward off the evil eye. I can imagine, Dio, doing this, while singing it, of course. He did that so much with many of his songs. So, Evil Eyes, number 6, a 9 out of 10 for me. Next is Mystery. This is a slower, more commercial sounding song. I do think it was a single along with We Rock and Last in Line, but don't quote me on that. I do like the song, but you have just an average guitar solo, and the keys here aren't that great. Overall, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. The song is catchy, but it's not enough for me make it anything higher number-wise. So 7.5 out of 10. Number 8 is Eat Your Heart Out. You have a great intro here. Cool lyrics, but not great lyrics. You have a cool run-like solo from Campbell, but it's not Dio at his best. I say it's average or slightly above average. I do give it a 7 out of 10. Of all the 9 tracks here, this is my least favorite. All right, next is number 9, Egypt, The Chains Are On. This has an epic-like feel to it. It's 6.5 or close to 7 minutes. Not quite epic length, but when the song is over, it feels like, or while it's going on, actually, the song feels like it's longer than it actually is. It's slow-paced and yet compelling, like the previous song that I mentioned earlier. So it feels a little bit longer than it actually is. It feels like a 10-minute song. Opens with the wind and the synths together. The wind is very reminiscent of the first album with Holy Diver with the wind. Has a Middle Eastern guitar tone. I think it's exquisite. Sets a great mood to start off the song. You have great lyrics, great vocal phrasing, great cadence from Dio. The cadence is perfect, if you ask me, as so many of his songs are. Then you have that middle section of the song, very similar to, not the same, but makes me think for whatever reason of the slower middle section of Master of Puppets. Maybe this inspired that, who knows. Dio's the spotlight here in that middle section, and he sings and he belts. They had rainbow in their eyes, and his delivery is top-notch there. You hear a bit of a recorder in this part, and then from there you go on to the guitar solo, which is just another exquisite passage from Vivian Campbell. I give this song an 11 out of 10. That's how much I like this song. So if we add everything up, you get an 8.7. 8 is very good for me on my list, and 9 is great, so it's approaching great. So it's in between very good and great, closer to great. So that's how I feel about the Dio album, Last in Line. Now let's talk about, so that was Last in Line. Let's talk about Diary of a Madman. By the way, if you can find it, this is the expanded edition. It has a second disc with Ozzy live. I'll just go ahead and read them off to you. I Don't Know, Crazy Train, Believer, Mr. Crowley, Flying High Again, Revelation, Steal Away, Suicide Solution, Iron Man, Children of the Grave, and Paranoid. Production's a little thin, but it's worth having. This is pretty cool. So, all right, so let's get started. Just going to talk about the main studio tracks, not the live stuff. All right, first track, as you know, is Over the Mountain. I've heard the song a million times before, but I still love it. Never gets old. Overall, I love the whole song. Yet, having said that, the guitar solo is the best part. You have this wonderful guitar solo, which is so difficult to describe. Randy Rhoads is just a gift to us all, as brief as that flash of brilliance was because he died so early. The guitars, this is one of my favorite guitar solos of all time. I'm not sure where I'd place it in there, but it's unique to me. And then the way it segues into the amazing kick-ass drums, it's iconic, right? So cool. It's one of the most great moments in heavy metal music of all time, and hard rock and heavy music in general, and rock music in general for me. So Over the Mountain, 11 out of 10. Next we get the next hit on the album, Flying High. Also heard this a million times, but still love it. Never gets old. Great hook. This is like the previous song, both Over the Mountain and Flying High. I put it on, put it in the CD player. I'm driving. I want to sing the lyrics. Great solo, too. Not as good as the other song, but the solo is still good. It's very great. It's very good. I'm sorry. The solo is great, but not as great as Over the Mountain. The Randy Rhoads, my favorite solo probably from Randy Rhoads is from Over the Mountain. Okay, so that's a 10 out of 10. Number 3, You Can't Kill Rock and Roll. Doesn't Twisted Sister have a song like that? They do. This song for me is a 10 out of 10. Here's why. This is a nice ballad or slow song. It's light and shade, though. It doesn't stay ballady, right? It's this back and forth kind of light and shade. There's two types of light and shade songs. It's the one where first half or third or fourth is slow, and then the rest is fast-paced and furious and heavy. This is the back and forth, kind of like, Judas Priest, Beyond the Realms of Death. So that's to and fro, that ping-pong light and shade thing. The acoustic guitar sounds great. It parallels, to me, sounds similar to Ace Frehley's Fractured Mirror on his solo album, the Kiss solo album, the first solo album. I think the song was fantastic. The chorus I just love. Ozzy's cadence and vocal phrasing is just dynamite. Hearing him sing, this is probably Ozzy's most beautiful vocals of all time. I think I just love it. The chorus is the best part. That vocal phrasing. He's so into his passion for rock music. It's his religion. It's just goosebumps. See that? What can I say? I just love it. So we see his passion for rock and roll in this music. It's a great message. Great guitar solo. I forget how good sometimes this solo is in the song. I think the song is "You Can't Kill Rock and Roll" is a great mantra for all of us YouTubers who have channels devoted to rock and roll, because everyone's saying rock is dead or on life support, and sometimes I cave in and give into that, but when I listen to this, it reminds me, well, maybe not. So this is a great jump start to reminding myself that, hey, rock is not dead. It's maybe not popular by so many people, but so what? We still care about it, right? So it's a great mantra for us rock and roll YouTubers, and not just people who have channels, but people who comment and watch and are passionate, even if they don't have their own channel. They're just as important. The the people who like music and, don't want to talk about it on camera, I would say they're more important because they're the ones, tuning in, right? So anyway, next is You Can't Go Rock and Roll is a 10 out of 10. Believer is a 10 out of 10. The intro with bass, then guitar is iconic, so mesmerizing. It's slow and haunting. I love the song. The solo is powerful. That I can't do it right, but it's almost a perfect song for Halloween. That's how haunting the guitar. Again, Randy Rhoads was just a genius. One of the coolest riffs of all time in the song here. Believer, 10 out of 10. Little Dolls, number 5. It's an okay song for me. A bit lackluster. I often skip this one, but most of the time I will listen to this album through and through. The lyrics I do like, the chorus especially. It's an okay song, as I said. It's a little bit lackluster. The riff is cool and bass, but not enough to make it a great song. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. Next is Tonight, number 6. This is another ballad-like song. I like it more than the previous, but I often skip this one as well. Excuse me. I like the overall vibe, tone, and sentiment of the song. The sentiment is really cool. It's a good song. It's not a great song. The solo, though, is a nice touch. It's compelling and moving, as most of this album is. The bass is similar to the previous song, but up more in the mix for some reason. And that's a good thing. I give the song a 7.5 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10, excuse me. Ow. Next is S.A.T.O. And this is one of my favorite Ozzy Osbourne songs of all time. Great heavy guitar intro. The solo overall is just fantastic. Dare I say phenomenal. The riffs are inspired. And there's a wonderful, catchy chorus. This is one of my favorite songs, as I said. Top 5 probably. And I give the song a 10 out of 10. Next, his best song of all time, Diary of a Madman, 11 out of 10. Let me explain why. You have a fabulous acoustic guitar intro. It picks up and gets faster, right? It's haunting. There's that haunting guitar again from Randy. Electric at this point, because you have the acoustic intro, then it gets electric. And in this part, the guitar that comes in at the beginning is what we would call a motif for the whole song, because it's going to come back up, whether in the guitar doing it or something else, which I'll get to, and you know what I mean by that. So then the lyrics come in after haunting guitar, and then the chorus is phenomenal. Okay, the vocal phrasing is just fabulous. It's a light and shade song, as you know. You have the slow, you have the slow middle piece. Think of very similar to Master of Puppets and Egypt. The Chains Are On. You have a middle section that slows down, perhaps foreshadowing Master of Puppets, who knows, though not the same as that song. You have the monks' vocals, the monks chiming in, right, singing, or rather vocalizing, not words, but, just, sounds. And then Ozzy chimes in at some point in his goosebumps, The mirror tells me lies. And again, Ozzy's voice here is top-notch, beautiful. And then you have like the marching like drums that come in, like marching off to war kind of thing. It's fabulous. It works so well. This song is just dynamite. Then the heavy guitar comes back in. Then the haunting solo, which parallels the album cover, is very, very haunting looking, right? I think it's great, though the solo was a bit brief, because Randy just does this beautiful mini run. It's amazing, though. Wish it was a little longer. Then the chorus comes back, right? Oops. So the chorus comes back, and then we return to the motif of the song. Okay? But this time it's the monks, their voices imitating what Randy does on the guitar at the beginning of the song. And then as the monks are doing this, the motif of Randy's guitar comes back in parallel with that and added to with the monks, and it's beautiful. And then you have some background angelic type female vocals kind of back in the mix or in the middle of the mix, which just adds a dynamite texture to the whole piece. And of course, all that I'm talking about, the monks and the guitar and the background vocals, has this kind of Carmina Burana vibe to it, or very similar to the motif of the Omen soundtrack. It's just fabulous. This is a dynamite song, folks, and a dynamite album. And of course, did I mention it? Let's see. Yeah, I give the song 11 out of 10. This goes up to 11. All right, and so when you add it and divide by the numbers, sorry, dry skin here, you get a 9.5, which is excellent. And I didn't have to do it by the numbers. I've always felt this way. It's a coincidence. The clear winner, 8.7, 9.5, but even without doing by the numbers, just going with my gut, it's this one. I love this album. I do. Is it as good as Holy Diver? No, but I still love it. I love this album is the best way to say it. When it comes to Holy Diver, boy, do I love that album, okay? So I love it even more than this. This, I just love, okay? Compared to this, it's again, this is really good. Approaching great. But this is excellent, okay? Yeah, so if it weren't for Little Dolls, this would be a masterpiece. It's approaching that anyway. Many of you will call this a legendary album. I don't want to call it that because of Little Dolls, but I won't argue if you find it. It's your opinion. I respect it. If you regard this as legendary, I get it. So this is almost leaps and bounds better than this. But I love both of them. But I love this more. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. God bless. Bye.